I should be at work right now. But instead of that, I had to go to my boss and ask for the day off because the woman who should have loved me is a pedophile. If she really is as sorry as she says she is, she should stop making me carve time out of my life to attend her paroles. Please, parole board, I ask you, don't grant this abuser release from prison.
And that is just a snapshot of the survivors standing up, laying down the truth, dropping a mic of epic proportions. Before we watch this hearing, we are going to take a blast to the past to catch up on the 2022 hearing of the sorry excuse of a mother. And with that, let's jump in.
Both Chapman and his wife, 42-year-old Jennifer Chapman, were arrested on the same charges. Police said 5 children were taken into state custody. In April, Jennifer Chapman pleaded no contest to a count of indecent behavior with a juvenile in lieu of a count of molestation of a juvenile. All other charges were dismissed, and she was sentenced to 7 years in prison. And she must register as a sex offender for 15 years upon release.
Chapman, Ms. Chapman, if you would please give us your full name and DOC number.
Jennifer Lynn Chapman, 9768466.
Ms. Chapman, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board will conduct the parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll allow the participants who've indicated they have a desire to speak to have their input. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is a matter of Jennifer Chapman, date of birth, April the 13th of 19-time offender. She is not eligible for parole. She has a full term date of July the 3rd of 2027. She is currently serving a 7-year sentence on the charge of indecent behavior with a juvenile. Ms. Chapman, is that all accurate?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Chapman, we do have one speaker. That's Ms. Ruth Chapman Hillman, and she wishes to speak today. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr.
Hi.
Freeman.
Good morning, Ms. Chapman. How old are you?
I'm 43.
How long have you served on this sentence?
2 years and 3 months.
Okay. What's your educational level?
11th grade.
Okay. Have you tried to get your GED since you've been incarcerated?
I've requested for it, and I'm still waiting for that. I sent the paperwork for y'all.
Okay. Okay. Tell me what was going on, and tell me the truth. What were you and your husband doing to your daughter?
My husband was touching my daughter inappropriately. I was in the room while this was going on. And I didn't try to keep it from happening or try to stop the situation from happening. And I should have. My belief as Pentecostal, we go by biblical standards and do things that the Bible expects us to do. And I thought that my actions were good and right, but they were not. And I understand that. And it was very wrong and inappropriate what happened. I never should have let that happen, and to hurt her in the way that she did get hurt is something that I live with for the rest of my life. I can't change the past, but I have learned that my actions were inhuman, and that never should have happened to a person that is a mother to a child. It never should have happened.
How do you think this has affected your daughter? I mean, put yourself in her shoes. What you think she's feeling?
I feel like that she is deeply hurt that that several things caused this trigger to happen, that that it affects her in so many ways that is hard for anyone else to continue on, not just living, but in their day-to-day life doing different things. It can cause so much hurt and just tearing their life apart. You can one minute be doing one thing, and then the next minute the memory just pops up of something horrible that happens to you, and it's not right. It's indecent. It's not something that she should have ever endured at all.
Do you have any contact with your other children?
I talk with my son by mail. I haven't received any response, but it's court ordered for Elijah for me to be able to talk with him through letter. But that's it. I don't have any other contact with anyone else except the court ordered.
I see you back on 8/22/14. You were arrested for cruelty to juveniles. The charge was no props, but what did they allege that you did?
The alleged was that I had put my daughter Esther in a cage, which was not true at all. Esther's behavior, I went to court for that. She's still in a mental hospital to this day. She was displaying, trying to burn down the side of the house, hiding knives, putting medicine under my kids' food. We were trying to get help. Miss Tiffany Sanders helped us to get our kids back with the condition that I give up rights to my daughter in order to get the other kids back.
It said you started sex offender treatment. What stage are you in?
I've been there in the class for a month.
Phase one.
I'm in phase one.
Okay. What have you learned so far during this treatment?
I've learned that my actions were not appropriate, that they should never have been done, that I should never have let my daughter face what she had faced. And for that, I'm so truly sorry. I can't change the past. I can't. But I have learned, that my actions were not right at all, that they never should have happened. And I'm hoping that my daughter will forgive me, and hopefully one day, she will be able to let me back in her life. I know that that's something hard, and I understand if she doesn't, but I hope and pray that she does, because I do love her. And I am truly sorry for those actions that was caused.
What other classes have you taken?
I was in counseling, that's no longer provided here. But I have requested to try to get some kind of counseling resources. I've participated in Bible courses. I've gotten 6 certificates for, while waiting to get in the other resources that I was waiting to be getting in. I'm hoping that upon release that I will be able to and promise to go to court-ordered counseling to finish the sex offense class, grief counseling. I'm hoping to get my GED and attend church and any other classes that anyone sees fit to put me in. I'm promising to do those things because I want to better myself, but it's not about me. It's about my daughter and what she's facing. But I know that I also need to get better so that this will never happen again, that she will never have to hear that her mother has done something this terrible ever again.
Yeah, you say you've taken Bible courses.
Yes.
You understand now that the Bible courses, I mean, the Lord not wants you to do what you did to your daughter. I mean, how did you feel like that the Bible was telling you to do this?
I guess I would say that being a Pentecostal, we follow what the Bible says, even to the point of we don't believe in divorce. I thought that allowing my husband to do what he did was the right thing, but I understand that I was wrong and it never should have happened, ever. My daughter should have never faced what she faced. And I don't agree with what I did at all. And I understand that now. Me speaking with other people and understanding that my actions were inhuman and not right is something that I have now learned, and I understand that, and I do not want to repeat that ever again, because I do understand that it was wrong and I should have stopped that, because I know for myself, being 9.5, I was assaulted by my foster dad, and that isn't something that you get over at all. It stays with you, and I never should have put my daughter through those kinds of actions.
You know, the Bible also tells us not to lie. Why did you deny this when you first met with detectives? And it was only your husband that admitted it was going on.
I wasn't well when I first came in to jail. I can't even remember what my first charges were. I know that it doesn't matter, but I did lose my baby while in jail. I had to have a blood transfusion, so I wasn't right in the head. I wasn't thinking straight. I was sick. There's no excuse for that, but I'm just letting you know that there was, a particular reason. I did have to have a blood transfusion, and I did lose my baby in jail. And
all law enforcement opposed. Your family, Lucy Arcer, is in favor. The victim is opposed. Staff, do you have any comments that you wish to make?
I can make a few if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you. What I can say is that Ms. Chapman has taken the course seriously. And as you can see, she is very remorseful, and she is very open about the offense in the class, which sometimes some of the participants who come in, they're very closed off and will not, come clean with what happened. While I understand, of course, she did, a lot of law enforcement at the time, prior to arrest and whatnot. She, at least so far, she's taking it very seriously. And I do suspect that she will continue to do that throughout the, remainder of the course. The other thing I wanted to say is, as far as the counseling goes, with the counseling, the issue is we have a couple of clinicians, but the one that she was seeing, she's had some challenges coming here, but we do plan on providing that and resuming that, just so you know. Because I know with her, some of the issues, I know there's been discussion about biblical context and things of this nature. And really what the issue is a lot of it is the power dynamics between her and her husband. And, as you all probably know, the Pentecostal culture, it's very big on, the hierarchy and making sure that, wives do essentially that they're submissive in many respects. And I think that maybe in this case, of course, it was extreme. And, I do think that affected her judgment to some extent. I'm not trying to make excuses by any means, but that is something that we will process in the counseling and the therapeutic process, to empower her to, say no when something's wrong, regardless of what's going on in the room, and stand up and do the right thing. And that's all that I can throw in there.
Mr. Chair, has no further questions.
Thank you very much.
I had, if you don't, just one. Ms. Chapman, you mentioned was Ruth your oldest child?
No, my son, Michael, I believe y'all received a letter from him. He's my oldest, and then Ruth is second to oldest.
Where does Elijah come?
I have 8 living kids.
Where does Elijah come in, the one that you communicate with?
He's at the Lighthouse Ranch for Boys.
No, I mean, is he after Ruth?
No, I'm sorry. It's Michael, then Ruth, Esther, Samuel, Nathan, then Elijah. So he's 5th.
Okay.
Like I said, I have 8 living kids, 4 deceased.
You mentioned something to Mr. Freeman, and I'd just like you to expand on it a moment. He was speaking to you about what impact you think or what effect this all had on Ruth. And you said this, you said several things caused this trigger to happen. Would you expand on that statement? What do you mean by that?
I just mean that, like, you can, be doing something, whether it's, sitting down somewhere or reading a book or whatever, and a noise or someone saying something can cause that memory to come back. And it's like a bad, memory that causes you to have anxiety attacks and to get stressed because of what has happened in your life.
Thank you. That's all I can.
Thank you very much. Let's hear now from Ms. Ruth Chapman Hillman. Ms. Hillman, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, ma'am. Would you please introduce yourself and let us know what you'd like the board to know?
Yes, so my name is Ruth Hillman, maiden name Ruth Chapman. So Jennifer is showing a lot of remorse, and they spoke about how open she was, but they have not talked, but she has not mentioned once that she had encouraged those events to happen. She only talked about how she feels remorse for not standing up for it. Whenever all of the brainwashing was first presented to me, I was told that I had an option to do it. I said no, and Jennifer coerced me and made me change my mind, telling me that I should do it because it was God's calling for me. It was several conversations I had with them. She encouraged it the whole entire time. I was told that she was kind of there to help prevent me and Joseph from going too far. And every once in a while during the times when I was being molested, she would say something like, "You're getting too close," or "You need to slow down." That meant that she was watching closely. She knew exactly what was going on. She also was talking about triggers and how it has, how that can bring up really difficult stuff. And it does. It would have been much, much easier for me to completely forget all about this and not seek legal action. But I have fought these past few years to keep my siblings safe and to keep these pedophiles away from my siblings. And I please ask that you don't undo the work that I have fought for these past couple of years. For me, Jennifer is a repeat offender because whenever all of my first siblings were taken into foster care, they were given back a year later. And then right after that, 1 year after all the kids were brought back into the home, that's when I was victimized. So she showed remorse that first time. She got all of her kids back, and then she went right back to the exact same thing that she started before.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hillman. We certainly do appreciate your courage and your being here today. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Ms. Chapman, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, I'm hoping and praying that my daughter can get on with her life and that she could have a happy life, and that I'm asking for her forgiveness in this situation. I understand that I can't change the past, but I do love her, and I'm hoping and praying that she can forgive me for this situation. I understand that this isn't something that a child should face, and I am deeply sorry for the actions that has been caused.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. We appreciate your comments. Can we vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Freeman?
First off, I want to thank Ms. Hillman for showing up and speaking today. I know it takes a lot of courage, and it was very inspirational to hear you talk, and I'm glad that you did come today. Ms. Chapman, you've only served 2.3 years. I don't think that's near enough. I think you need to get much more classes, victim awareness, things like that. You need to finish your sex offender class, and you also need to get back into counseling. So my vote today is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Robinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to thank you, Ruth, for your courage to come forward in the beginning and for you to be concerned about your siblings. Thanks for being here today. It's very important to the process. Ms. Chapman, I agree with my colleague, Mr. Freeman, based on the opposition that's been expressed here today, the law enforcement opposition, the serious nature of the offense, your need to complete the sex offender treatment and to get engaged in the counseling mentioned by Dr. Hanser. My vote today is to deny your parole.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'd also like to, again, thank Ms. Hillman for the courage of being here today. It's very important to our process for your voice to be heard, and it has been heard. Ms. Chapman, you've received 2 votes to deny your parole. I agree with both of my colleagues with all of the reasons they've said. You have a lot more work to do. You're moving in the right direction, but you've still got a lot more work to do. So your request for parole today has been denied. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to now fast forward to the present day, October 15, 2024, to watch the rehearing. If you can imagine, it's just 2 years later, and this sorry excuse of a mother gets to have another chance of parole, because who cares about, the survivors? Who cares about the survivors, right? There's not even a DA shows up. But I guess you don't need a DA when you have a powerhouse like Ruth stand up and lay down the law. She dropped a mic that the whole world could hear. It was just like, boom. It's incredible. I mean, look at the contrast. Look at the difference between, it's like right at a casting, right at a Hollywood. Let's cast a survivor to stand up. It's just so inspirational. How many of you were moved by Ruth, by the statement, by the power, by the Well, we're gonna get to see Ruth again in this follow-up hearing, and I want to let you know, Ruth reached out to me when she saw, because we published this hearing a year ago. And Ruth wrote me in an email, and she let me know how much it meant to her, because just it's not in a vacuum anymore. She's reading the comments from everyone speaking about her, and it makes a difference. And it's probably the most rewarding thing when I get an email, most rewarding for me outside of being, I guess, a father and a husband, when I get the email from survivors like Ruth. And I have never received an email asking to take down a parole hearing by a survivor. I've received it by relatives of the inmates, but never by a survivor. And I think that's an interesting data point that some of you who might be skeptical about this can tuck away somewhere. And Ruth said, we have this parole hearing. It's coming up October 15th, 2024. Mandu, I'm going to be there strong, and I want you to know about it so you can document it. And here we are. We're watching it. And Ruth might be, if we're watching this live with me, she might be in the live stream, but I know she's going to come down into the comment section responding to comments. And on that note, before we jump into this parole hearing, Ruth did put together a GoFundMe for her many siblings. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. I have not spoken to Ruth personally. I have not spoken on the phone. This is done via email. So that's what it is. And I'm putting that link in the description. I think it's a beautiful cause put together by a beautiful human being. But with that, let's jump in to the next hearing.
Ms. Chapman, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
Jennifer Chapman, 768466.
Okay. Ms. Chapman, I'm Jerry Ledoux. Also on panel today virtually is Mrs. Renatza and Mr. Prater. I'm going to read some information from the file, and then I'm going to, we'll be asking you some questions. Ms. Chapman, we find that you're a first-class offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence. You're a rehear. You had a parole eligibility date, November 3rd, 2022, at which time you were denied. You're not eligible for a good time date, and you have a full-term date of 7/3/2027. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just start out by asking you, tell me a little bit about why you're here, and you were denied once. Why do you think that that we should parole you this time, and what has changed?
I have done the sex offense class that was asked of me.
How long did it take you to do that class?
It takes a year to do the class.
A year. Okay, so you took phases 1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead. What else?
Okay. I've also obtained 120 Bible certificates, so I'm not, just laying around doing nothing with my time. I'm trying to better myself. I'm also in GED. Currently, my cataracts has interfered with me completing it, but I have not quit. I'm in HiSET, which is the highest before you get your GED.
So why were you denied the first time?
I had not completed any classes, and my daughter, she didn't want that to happen.
What is your plans for residence when you are released?
I'm going home to my son at in Alexandria.
How old is your son?
He's 25, about to be 26.
So let me see if I understand. The actual crime took place in 2015, and you were not sentenced until 2022. Is that correct?
April 12th, yeah.
20, I meant. Yeah. So you've been in a little over 4 years in prison. You spent the other 2 years on bail or in prison?
It's been all in prison, the 4 years and 3 months. July 3rd marked the year, and then, the 3 months on the 30th, the 3rd of this month.
So you're arrested in 2020 and sentenced in 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
There is law enforcement opposition to your release as well.
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware.
Your co-defendant is no longer alive, is that correct?
That is correct. He has passed away since being in prison.
How many counts were you actually charged with?
You mean before they dropped it?
Yeah.
7 counts.
And how many were you sentenced for?
Indecency. They dropped the charge to indecency with a juvenile.
So they dismissed 6 charges?
Yes.
So you pled down. Today we do have someone in opposition. It is your victim, and we would like to go to her at this time for a statement.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, first of all, I would like to say thank you so much to the board for allowing me the opportunity to share my side of the story. So Jennifer is talking about the classes that she's completing and the courses that she's going through, the Bible certificates. But while she's doing that to show off, to look good, I recently got my hands on a couple letters that she wrote to Joseph while she was in prison. I would like to share parts of 2 of those letters today. So this was dated March 9th, 2023, after her last parole, when she was crying out how sorry she was. She said, "When I talked to a family member, she said she had no sympathy for me because she thinks I was mean to our kids. Is that true? Do you think I was mean to them?" Another letter that she wrote to Joseph this year, dated March 28th, 2024. She says, "As we get ready to enter the lion's den, Jesus will carry us in the courtroom. We are his children. He will help us through whatever happens. Paul tells us he counts it a blessing when he suffered, and I see his blessing in so many things." Whenever I first read these letters, I was absolutely floored. Jennifer believes that she will be rewarded for having to endure the punishment of her crimes. While she looks forward to heavenly treasures, me and my siblings are forced to pick up the broken pieces of our shattered childhood. I knew that she was so young. She was just a child when she met Joseph, and I had sympathy in my heart for her because of that. But every day I keep uncovering more and more of the truth, and she proves that she is incapable of human decency and not worth my mercy. This year, I got a call on my birthday letting me know that she told one of my siblings, my little brother, that it was his fault she was in prison. Ever since that day, he has been spiraling into a hole of self-harm and suicide attempts. If she can't even handle being human over the phone, how can she be trusted with freedom? I should be at work right now. But instead of that, I had to go to my boss and ask for the day off because the woman who should have loved me is a pedophile. If she really is as sorry as she says she is, she should stop making me carve time out of my life to attend her paroles. Please, parole board, I ask you, don't grant this abuser release from prison. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chapman, your case was really concerning to me as a parole board member and also as a parent.
I understand that. And at the same time, some of the allegations are not true. And I'm trying to move forward to not be stuck in the past, to be able to have the opportunity to prove that things are better now, that I am not just some person that deserves to be, stuck here for the rest of my life. I had received a letter from Ruth, my daughter, the one that just spoke. She sent me a picture of my husband's property, I'm assuming, but it has the date of when my husband passed away and when she burned his property. And she says, ashes of his drawings are ashes from a man. Who can tell the difference? No one can. I pray, every single day that my daughter can move forward and, get on with her life and be able to continue to improve in whatever that she needs to. That is my greatest prayer for her. But I also need to be able to show that I have changed. And I believe that someone deserves to be able to show that by moving forward, not being stuck in here until being released and not knowing, whether that's going to happen or not. I cannot see my children. So, I've already lost that. And my daughter has lost, I'm sure, more than that. And it breaks my heart. That is my child. I love her no matter what. But I also am trying to show that I am, I have done better. I am trying to better myself. And I'm not sure what else to explain other than I'm praying that I will be given the chance to show that change.
Mr. Prater, Ms. Renatza, do either of you have any questions?
I do. Ms. Chapman, I sat on your last parole panel, and I was one that suggested the sex offender treatment. And so tell us, what was your takeaway from that program?
I have been able to learn that the events that were caused are, mine, that I need to deal with and adjust with and focus on, not doing those things again, to not do a repeat of, all the incidents that have occurred, and that I am to focus on the attention on myself, as, not blaming someone else, not, throwing the blame where it should not be blamed.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got something out of it. And I did not hear in the program participation victim awareness. Did you take any victim impact or victim awareness classes yet?
No, I have not. That wasn't mentioned last time. Otherwise, that would have been done.
Okay.
Like I'm also in counseling. My counselor has joined me, and she is helping me, work through the things that I need to do, and try to better myself. And
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Is there any, you mentioned all your Bible class certificates and all of that. Is there any opportunity there for you at the facility for any community service work? Do you do anything in your community to give back?
they don't have that kind of things here. It's very limited. So if that would be something that I would like to do, upon release, things like that. Going to counselor, going to grief counseling, getting church, any other programs that I can do, I would be more than happy to make sure that that is accomplished. That is my big goal.
Okay, good. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Ms. Ledoux. Ryder.
No questions.
At this time, hearing nobody having more questions or anything else to say, I'm prepared to vote. Ms. Chapman, Mr. Nonsa spoke about victim awareness. And that is something that I would strongly encourage you to look into, because I'm not certain that you understand the impact of what you have done, you personally have done to cause the pain.
I am very much aware of the situation.
Okay.
I understand it fully, but I also would like to take the classes, to help me have more information in that. But yes.
But at this point today, because of family safety issues and the opposition, my vote is to deny. Mr. Nonsa?
Ms. Chapman, I appreciate that you took advantage of the opportunities in the sex offender treatment and that you're enrolled in counseling. Those are suggestions that were made last time. Although I can't put aside what Ruth has said. Ruth is strongly opposed to and has concern for her siblings. So based on the strong opposition that's been expressed by law enforcement, obvious victim opposition, and again, I believe there are also some family safety issues. My vote today is to deny you parole. And again, I do encourage you to seek out victim impact training.
Mr. Price?
To deny. I also believe that because of the victim opposition and because the nature and seriousness of the crime, that not enough time has been served, and that's what I'm basing my decision on. Thank you.
Okay, today, your request for parole has been denied. It is now 12:05, and the panel is going to be signing off from LCTW and also for the day. Thank you.
And another mic drop by Ruth. our survivor. She pulls out those letters that 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 the sorry excuse of a mother was writing her husband in prison, a letter as recent as 3/28/2024, as we get ready to enter the lion's den with Jesus will carry us. And again, just showing that she still she is, I mean, Ruth said it best. She thinks she's going to be rewarded for her suffering in prison. And I'm, they meant, I'm happy to let you know that Joseph is no longer with us. He died April 24th, 2024, shortly after receiving that letter. I don't know if that's irony, timing. I don't know. And then the response that this cockroach mother says, what is it? She thinks that calling out Ruth's letter is somehow like getting a step up. Why? Ashes of his drawings are ashes of a man. Who can tell the difference? No one can. That's poetry. And the words that she uses, it's clear there's nothing there. It's clear that it's just yet, a judge and a DA, 7 years, only 15 years on the registry. It's like they need to be watching these parole hearings. They need to understand who it is that they're giving these sentences to. It's the most simple aspect. If you truly have remorse, why are you applying for parole? Your good time date is 2027. It's in 3 years from now. Ruth's mic drop, it was so powerful. You had the whole parole board, Miss Renatza, I mean, just zoned in, listening, the sheriff listening. It was hard to see. Okay, I'm cutting into this editing because we have a surprise guest that is going to talk to us. I did not expect this. I was actually uploading this final version when Ruth herself emailed me. Thank you, Sir Richard, for making this happen. Let's just jump in and hear from Ruth herself. I'll just fit it in. But basically, hello, everyone on the Mandu family. I am so excited to bring our survivor, our mic dropper, Ruth, into the chat. Ruth initially reached out, I think it was 6 months ago, about after seeing the original parole hearing, and we've been in touch over email, and Ruth decided to join on to give us from her own experience, and share any information also about the GoFundMe that you have.
Yeah. Thank you again for giving me this platform, letting me share my story. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't want to speak here. I didn't want to do the parole. Didn't want to do any of this, but it's for my siblings. It's for my kids. It's one of the reasons why I started that GoFundMe. One of the biggest pushing factors was when one of my little brothers told me that in order to be able to just get on his feet after he turned 18, he was planning on moving in with Jennifer after she got out on parole. And I was like, no, you're not. So I've been saving some of my own money to try to help out with that. But unfortunately, saving for 6 kids is not as easy as one would think. So that's why I'm reaching out for help. So thank you.
No, and thank you. I think you inspire so many of us that watch. it's just your bravery and the way that you hold yourself and the way that you again drop the mic and those statements. It's inspiring. There are many survivors that watch these streams, so I think that you have a larger effect on than maybe you know.
Yeah, thank you. I do have to say that for this last parole that I did, or the one, before the one I did today, I had no idea that it was going to be public. And then I just found your video out of the blue, and I was really scared at first, but then I saw all of the supportive comments, and I just felt so good. I actually saved like all of the really good ones on a document. And then today or yesterday before the parole, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to say, I went over and I read them all. Can I share my 2 favorite ones?
Yes.
All right. So my favorite silly one, it was so good. I had to take just a screenshot of it rather than copy and pasting it. But someone said, "I'm guessing she has the IQ of a potato." And someone replied, "Bit disrespectful to a potato." Yeah.
Those aren't funny. Those well, you find the humor in it. So that's
I
a
do
good
find
thing.
it funny. I think potatoes are hilarious. So
Well, they are kind of funny, I guess, when you think about it.
yeah.
But I'm surprised that that's I'm afraid to ask what number 2 is.
Well, this one's a little bit more serious.
Okay.
There were a lot of people sharing, some of their survivor stories. So I don't know why this one stuck out to me so much, but it's just the words, "You're my hero, Ruth," with the red heart emoji. I don't know why, but that one like really, really sticks with me. I feel like that person was really genuine. And if you're seeing this, I appreciate you, and I want you to know that your comments really stood out to me. So thank you.
Ruth, I think you're a lot of our heroes. And it's interesting. But I've covered over, I don't know, maybe 2,000 parole hearings, and I have not yet had one survivor email me and ask me to take down a parole hearing. I have had relatives of the inmates send emails, but similar story to yours. It's I think that, and maybe you can elaborate on this, but it almost feels like you're alone up there. The DA's not there. There's no victim advocate. You're alone, taking this battle alone. And then all of a sudden you see all these comments and all these people that are, I don't know if that was your experience when you saw it. But it's part of what drives me to continue doing these parole hearings.
Yeah. I definitely felt alone a lot. I've got a professor from my college whose husband is a lawyer, so I talked to him about some of the things because it was really hard to get a response sometimes. I do have someone from the victims unit that helps me out, so it's nice to have them. But besides that, I did feel pretty alone with it. So seeing the comments, I was like, oh, okay, wow, maybe I am doing some good.
You are. You're amazing. I don't know. I don't know how you found yourself where you are, but it's impressive, and you're really good with your words. What do you do?
I don't know. I really love puns and stupid jokes, and you have to be a wordsmith if you like puns and you're good at that. So.
And I Googled, so I don't know if this was something you came up with, but I'd love to hear. I wrote it down. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Ashes of his drawings are ashes of a man who can tell the difference. No one can.
Yeah. Would you like the story for that?
I would.
So
I was hoping there's a story.
Oh yeah, there's a story. After Joseph died, back in April, I was able to get all of his things, and it's just boxes and boxes of just like the weirdest, crazy, delusional stuff. But in it was some drawings that he made for Jennifer. And she asked me if, well, okay, I don't talk to Jennifer at all. That was the first time I've ever contacted her since I made the report. But my aunt asked me if I could send those to her. And I was like, well, I guess she'll get them in one way or another. Okay, so honestly, I did let Jennifer believe that I burned them. The pictures of the ashes that she showed, I found that on Reddit. So it's not the real ashes.
Nice.
But yeah,
Love
I
it.
said that, and I wrote a poem, and then I was like, that one's not it. And then the second one I wrote, I was like, yeah, this one's it. And so I put it in fancy writing and just mailed it on to her.
I thought it was something like out of the Bible, so I Googled it looking for the original quote, and I couldn't find it.
So there is a quote in the Bible that says ashes to ashes and like dust to dust.
Right.
It's talking about how, we come from the earth and then we're gonna die eventually. So I kind of twisted that Bible verse up a little bit. He was cremated. So whenever I sent the picture of the ashes, I was essentially insinuating, like, is this his drawings or is this him? Like, you can't tell anymore because it's all ash.
I love it. And yeah, you owned both parole hearings. Even Miss Renazzo was like zoned in. I don't know if you watch other parole hearings, but she doesn't get zoned in. She's normally all business, and she was just like totally glued into your statements, to both of them. What's your, I'm curious, do you have any like, is this something you want to take on as part of your career path and being?
Not paroles. I will say I am a teacher. I teach high school art. And
Okay.
I love making a difference that way. So I'll probably stay out of the legal realm. But yeah.
Well, I was just curious. Okay, so you're with kids and you're teaching
Mhm.
art. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That is perfect. I don't know. Is there is there anything else you want to touch on? Do you want to talk more about the GoFundMe, or is there anything else that?
Well, just on the GoFundMe, I do want to point out that the money is for my kids, for my siblings. It's not intended for me. And then any amount that any of your viewers could share would make a really big difference, and I would appreciate that. So.
Yeah, of course. And I will commit to, and you don't know with YouTube, sometimes you can make zero money on a parole hearing. It depends if it's demonetized or not. But I'll commit to any revenue generated from this hearing will go to the GoFundMe. And
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
of course, it sometimes it depends. YouTube's like weird with these things, but it's I'll donate every month, from the. And it'll come in as Mandu. I've done it before, so you'll just see Mandu on the.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me? I get a lot of questions about this stuff, and I know sometimes people are just afraid to ask things, but you can ask if you'd like.
Wow. That is opening that is a good question. Are you the oldest?
So there's one sibling that's older than me. He's a half sibling, but all the other ones are younger and full siblings.
So you feel you have the motherly, I guess, aspect here.
Yeah, I've always felt that way for sure. Whenever my I don't call them parents, I call them inhumans. I used to just call them Jennifer and Joseph, but it's too much work. So they're inhumans. But whenever they would like yell at them or start to like physically hurt them, I'd go in the room and try to be there so that they wouldn't be as harsh.
And I guess what was the leading factor in them getting I guess prosecuted? Was that something?
Yeah, So kind of like the whole story for that, I didn't know what was happening because I was brainwashed with religion hardcore. And then once I learned, I was 18 and I had moved away, and I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I was 18, moved away, and I actually had a conversation with Joseph, like, hey, like, what happened? Why is this real? And I recorded that conversation of him, like, essentially admitting everything. So that was really good evidence. I didn't record it for evidence. I knew he was going to say Bible verses, and I wanted to be able to use those later on and look them up and reference them. But I held on to that call for like a year or so. But then I remembered that he told me that I didn't have to do anything, that the uncomfortable stuff that occurred, that one day another girl would be born that could do it instead. And now, I've got a little sister. And so, yeah, I didn't want that to happen.
So you were protecting your sister.
Yeah, I was trying to protect all of my siblings. But yeah, she was the one that I was worried about the most because she had a, direct threat against her.
And then you shared the information with the police, or?
Yeah, so I live in a state like 1,000 miles away from Louisiana, and we me and my husband, we took a trip down there for his mother's birthday, and then that was the day that I went into the police station and made the report. I gave him a flash drive that had all the information about the phone calls on it. So.
Wow. And then, good for you. I didn't realize you had that involvement at all.
Yeah, thank you.
So you totally put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And then so then how when they agreed on the was it a plea deal that you agreed to, or?
So whenever I was called in to testify, the only thing they asked me was, they said like her defendant or something was asking for a reduced sentence, for Jennifer, and I said no, give her the max time, and then that was the only thing that I was ever asked. But they always knew that I wanted them to have the most amount of time as they could possibly get, so they worked for that for me.
I just realized my settings were.
Oh.
So they didn't. But they didn't talk to you about, like, because she only took, I think, a plea for one count or something, where the maximum was 7 years.
I'd have to look up exactly what it is. But yeah, no, she got 3 years less than Joseph did.
He only got 10 years.
Mm-hmm. But he's dead now, so that works, right?
It does work, and I thought it was interesting that he died just like a few weeks after the last letter that Jennifer sent him, which was interesting timing. I don't know if it's ironic or what the word is.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the last letter, because honestly, I've got 2 like huge boxes of papers upon papers. Like I couldn't even read all of it in like 3 sessions where I sat down for a couple hours. Like Joseph wrote books. He wrote a book called A Resume about his life, and then he wrote this other one called The Book of L, and it's got like the weirdest stuff ever in it. Very delusional. So I don't know if it's like the actual last one, but it was one that stuck out to me.
It was a one on, right, March 28th, as we get ready to enter the lion's den, Jesus will carry us into the something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he died 4/24. But it was, how did you get the letters you had, like, that she wrote? It's something you have access to, or?
So I, as soon as I found out that Joseph had died, I called the prison and asked if I could have his things, because I had heard he was writing books, and I was kind of interested in those. And then the letters just came with his property.
Oh, I love that you pulled it out in the parole hearing. It was like,
yeah.
I was, how did you get that? She was not expecting it.
I don't think so. No.
No. How do you feel today after the parole hearing?
Honestly, everything's like happening so fast, and like I didn't expect to like talk to you now that I like haven't quite processed all of it. But she was denied, so everything's gonna turn out good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do interviews normally, if you can. So it's so I was actually about to run out the door, and I saw your email. I was actually editing, so I put together the parole hearing. I was, when I'm editing, I'm not checking my email, and I finished it and I uploaded it to YouTube to set it up, and then I went into my email to send you the link. And that's when I saw your email to me, which was written 40 minutes later that I'm reading it. It said, actually, I'm willing to jump on. Oh my God, so we're doing this now. And then what I'll do when we hang up is I'll go back in and I'll glue it back together, and then I'll upload it, and we'll.
Yeah, sorry to make you do extra editing.
No, stuff be crazy. It's but if you like catch a mistake in there where maybe I'm not like where it doesn't see, you'll know why. But no, I'm not used to interviews, but it's yeah, it must feel like I can't imagine the anxiety of not knowing what the parole board is going to do.
Yeah, it is definitely nerve-wracking for sure. I was one of the last ones though, and they were giving out a lot of denies all day, so I was like, maybe they'll just keep going with that.
This parole board is a bit more tough. It's tough than the older parole board, depending on who you got. But we didn't have the victim's advocate on the board, so you don't know. But yeah, no, you owned it. If you weren't there, they might have granted. And I see you have your friend in the background.
Yeah, her name is Duchess.
Duchess. She looks like a duchess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to have a cat, and it would always, whenever I was doing calls, he would come up and think I was talking to him, I think. So he would always want attention. I don't know. So I almost wish like I had better prepared for the interview, but
That's okay.
Is there anything that you think we should know, or that you feel like sharing?
Not right now. As I mentioned to you before in email, I'm willing to answer like some of those important questions in your comments, as long as the answer doesn't hurt me or my siblings. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions from the public.
Yeah, there will be, of course. And if there will be a lot, and we'll play it tonight in 2 hours. If you want to jump into the live chat, that's totally up to you. But thank you for being here and sharing some insight with us. And this is the kind of things I think we all go through, these experiences where we do something, and then for the next year we go back and wish that we had said this or said that. So this, I know, is one of those interviews for me that I'm going to wish I had asked you 1,000 different questions, but I'm like a little bit off my mark right now. But I would love to have you back if you're, if it's something that you feel up to doing, and we can always do like a recheck-in or we could do a live stream or something.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I don't know. I guess that's it.
I guess so.
But thank you so much. I'll click the pause on the record. And there you have it. I can't, it's like I said, I had finished uploading this, and I'm running and I'm late. I gotta be somewhere that's an hour away in an hour. So it's part of the rush thing. And so I gotta run. I'm late, but I just feel like I said, these are going to be one of those things that I wish I can go back and ask different questions and say different things. As you can tell, I'm not an experienced interviewer. This is not something that I have. And I was a little bit surprised But Sir Richard emailed Ruth kind of like one last time and said, would you talk? And she agreed. And you can see her wittiness and her humor. And when she brought up the two comments, it caught me totally off guard, which brings up the potato. And there's just something. And when she gave the experience of watching the parole hearing for the first time, and I hope I didn't put words in her mouth by kind of expressing about how maybe how she had felt through that. But it I would love to have her back a second time, ask a series of questions. She's going to be in the comments section as well. So it's but for me it was on a personal level a very special moment to hear from her side of perspective how it was seeing the first video, and then seeing the comments from all of you and how that affected her and how she saved it on her phone. And again, that kind of like solidifies a lot of what I think we go through here. See, it's doing something, it's making a difference. And then hearing her experience about how she realized, hey, how she really orchestrated the arrests of both of them, but still how the judges and DAs, even with all the evidence, gave those little sentences. But hey, one is already gone, no longer a problem, and the other has a good time date in 3 years. But hey, maybe things, well, I don't know. But anyways, like I said, I have to go, but I'll leave you with final words from Ruth. And with that, I'll let you go.
I should be at work right now. But instead of that, I had to go to my boss and ask for the day off because the woman who should have loved me is a pedophile. If she really is as sorry as she says she is, she should stop making me carve time out of my life to attend her paroles. Please, parole board, I ask you, don't grant this abuser release from prison.